Ever played with the Ouija board? I'm sure you fucking have. I know one of you guys out there did the mistake of doing it. So, in honor of the most scariest toy I've ever played with on the planet, let's talk about my experience with the Ouija board. I was a teenager and we had a family get together. And everybody was hanging out and everybody was bored. I don't even remember who the fuck brought this damn toy. It was about 6 or 7 of us, three cousins, and like, I think my ex boyfriend was there that day. The details are very whatever. What matters is that shit is real and very fucking scary. I originally didn't want to play. They were in my brother's room, right? And they were playing with it and it was like not working and it kind of moved a little bit, but not really like too much, right? And so they were getting really frustrated and like taking turns and stuff. But I was standing there like, I ain't touching this bitch because I know for a fact something's gonna happen. After some time of them really trying, I would say a good 10, 15 minutes, everybody taking a turn, but my fucking self. They were like, come on, Ginger, come on, please, please. And I was like, no, y'all are crazy. I'm not trying to touch this thing. My brother, who is a year younger than me, says, oh, let's go to Ginger's room. Her room has all the ghosts. I want you to understand that my entire life has been surrounded by dead people. I have seen them my entire life. I have talked to them. I have been bothered by them. I mean, I have stories for days and days. So, of course, naturally, he was like, let's go to her room because she gets all of the ghosts because it's like a fucking portal in there. Everybody knew it. My family knew I was that weird kid. And they were like, if you touch it, I bet you anything it's going to work. So after everybody begging and like me looking like the party pooper, I was like, fine, let's go to my room, right? We put it on the bed and everybody's taking a turn and it's still not working. So I was like, you see, it's not even the room. It's just not working. Once again, they started begging. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll fucking play. The moment my fucking ass touched this thing, it starts moving immediately and everybody starts freaking out. And they're like, oh, I told you, I told you. Here's the thing, I've always felt like I was like some weird conductor. Like spirit just attaches themselves to me and it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's almost like a magnet. So cool. I get there and I start asking questions. Here's when it starts to get a bit strange for my motherfucking liking. This thing decides it's not going to answer anything but to tell us that there's a spirit that has been harassing me, which we've all seen, by the way. And even people who don't believe were like, who is that guy? I had a spirit for years basically stalk me. And for some reason, he decided to explain who he was that day. My ex boyfriend would see it, my family members would see it. It was a man. He had a tank top and he looked like just some regular Joe Schmo, had like kind of blondish hair. And I guess he wore jeans. I could never see past like the waist down. My mom would even see him walking in the house. It was so fucking crazy. And he would always end up in my room. The name of this spirit was Henry. Henry spells out, hi, Ginger. Everybody fucking screams. Mind you, I had already bumped into Henry and I think the two kids that belonged to him. See, there was two children that would follow me even to go to school. I would see them all the time. They would even end up on the TV, like in the reflection. It was so weird, but that's another day. Too many stories, but I promise I'll tell that one. Something told me it was his kids, and I felt like this really strong intuitive thing that I'm like, this guy did something to these kids. I said, Henry, are those your children? Of course, he replied, yes. Everybody was like, is this really fucking happening? Like the screaming that was happening, you would think it was a fucking movie. I mean, it was a horror movie at that moment. I said, Henry, did you harm these kids? Did you hurt them? What did he reply? Yes. Lord have mercy, were we freaking out. All the hooting and hollering. I'm like, all right, guys, I think I've had enough of this, but they didn't want to stop. I said, Henry, can I go now? Because I honestly didn't want to be here. He replied, no. He proceeds to tell his story. Basically, to make it shorter for you guys, he murdered his children. He was a really bad guy, and he had become attached to me and wouldn't leave me alone. I want you to understand I was 14 years old at this time. We had basically confirmed that he had been stalking me as a spirit for quite some time. So somebody decides to ask, well, what do you want to do with Ginger? And I was like, I don't want to fucking know what he wants to do with me. But lo and behold, he heard the question and answers. And the answer was, he wanted to kill me. Of course, everybody sees Kill Ginger and starts screaming again. And I'm like, all right, I've had enough. I don't want to play this shit no more. This is getting really fucking serious. This isn't a joke. This spirit is very strong. He's very upset. And I don't want to deal with it. I said, I'm leaving. I'm getting out of here. I'm turning this thing off. How the fuck do we turn it off? We have to say goodbye. Everybody's screaming. It just looked like straight chaos in my room. Once again, they started saying, no, ask more questions. I said, what the fuck you want me to ask? This thing wants to kill me. They wanted to know if it was for sure. Bitch, I don't need a confirmation. Anyway, I said, no, I'm done. Everybody, we are done. We're getting the fuck out of this room. So I said goodbye and I ran. Well, we all fucking ran because I was like, I'm out. I don't know who the fuck did it, but they shut off like the light of my room and we ran outside screaming. Like my mom was like, what the fuck is all this screaming? But you know, when parents are having a getty and they're a little bit tipsy and having a good time, they don't give a fuck. They're just like, these kids are just crazy. We ran across the street to my neighbor, who at the time was a very big occultic person. All of us are screaming at the same time, telling him the story about what just fucking happened in my room. Meanwhile, I get the sense that homeboy is still in my bedroom. I let out the biggest scream because the window, when we all looked at the window, the curtain was slowly opening, and the neighbor who was in the occult stuff at the time was like, fuck no. There was nobody left in my room. Everybody was outside. We were shaking, fucking freaking out, and everything. I'm like, we got to give you this Ouija board. Fuck this bullshit. Nobody can keep this. So he was like, fine, just give it to me, but somebody got to go get it. Listen, my memory from the trauma was so I can't even remember if we brought it out there. I don't know if somebody had went back inside and was bold enough to go get the fucker, but it ended up in his hands. No one wanted to be in my house. Mind you, the curtain closed and opened several times, okay? And we were in the fucking street in the middle of the night, like 10 something at night, screaming like a bunch of bitches. And you think that I learned my lesson by playing this Ouija board at 14? Oh no. Oh no, no, no. There's more, but that's for another time. Because when I became an adult, 20 something years old, and I moved to New York, the same cousin and I played the Ouija board in her house in New York City. That is a whole other story. But do me a favor, don't play with the Ouija board.